valves are so far recessed in this head, somebody's taken a grinder and ground
the
the
ends
valves.
off.
Grind the valve tips down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep. There is actually a tool on my
Yeah, you can use
valve grinder that will grind and accurately.
I mean, engines built before, let's say, 1940, that was pretty common, wasn't it?
Well, that's the only way you
that's the
could
only
do a
way you would
flathead
it.
Ford.
Right, yeah.
There was no adjustment on a flathead Ford. You had to grind them to fit.
Yeah.
Yep.
I found a lot of them, cranks got, before the cranks down in the bearing, they had like brass shims.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of them.
But you're not supposed to do that. The manual says don't.
Well,
don't
you can tell
ever
they've been
shim.
in there.
Do you know how many Crosley engines I tore apart that had shims on the bearings, on the rod bearings, and the mains?
Okay. All right.
But you're only supposed to do it on the lower rod.
Really?
Yeah. But I've seen them on the upper and the lower too.
I've seen them on both.
Yeah. And I could have used that crankshaft journal for a grinding wheel that was that raw. Hole wasn't there, but it's going to make a hole. And
So how long after you've adjusted everything and it's running quiet and everything is it gonna last?
10,000 miles.
The way we drive.
you gotta do it all over
Yeah,
Yeah.
once it's done, it should be set, right?
Yeah. Now the biggest thing, and if any of you ever pull an oil pan off or pull that front crank pulley off,
You gotta replace the seal.
you go to replace that seal, you pull that front crank pulley off, you just open a can of worms. Because that crank pulley, inside of it, there are shims that rest against this part. And that's what sets your gear, your backlash on your gears. That has to be exactly 4/1000ths of an inch backlash between those gears. Any more, any less, if it's more, it's gonna break a tooth off within 100 miles. If you make it tight, it might last maybe 400 miles, and then it's gonna break a tooth off, and then you bent the valves.
Now, is every motor like that, or
Every
is that
one.
some? Okay.
Hey, Barry, what
Are
about
there
the
not?
systems they're selling where they use the O-ring?
Okay, that's what you wanna use. That O-ring is a backup, okay?
Yeah.
What, the reason
It builds the clearance in.
it builds the clearance in to a certain point.
Right.
If you make it too tight, that O-ring's gonna squish, so you don't do real damage, okay?
If you're talking about between the gear and the pulley,
Yep.
that's 4,000.
Yep. No, between the two gears.
The two gears themselves.
The two gears themselves.
And how do
When-
you measure that?
Harbor Freight, again,
Yeah.
with a dial indicator.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You wanna buy a dial indicator, and they have a vice grip with a flexible arm on it. And you set it up against the gear, and you just take a screwdriver and push it, and you want 4/1000ths clearance on it.
The magnetic base will work too.
But it's not that hard.
All right, so what am I supposed to listen for when I need to do my valves? My motor's running. Every Crosley on this show field has a different noise to it.
Yeah.
So when you
How
walk
much
up,
drag do you look for there?
That's what you want. I mean,
You gotta push it
see
in
that?
on that.
Yeah, you want to feel a drag. You don't want to have to force it in. See how everybody wants to come up and feel what kind of drag you need?
Yeah.
If you got to really force it,
And
it's not.
Yeah,
it's too tight. Critical. And I keep telling people this, and my engine, it just stopped on me. I told you, did you set that up like I told you? Well, I kind of did it with a feeler gauge.
Well, like if you tore one down, it's got the shims on the pulley.
yeah.
As long as you put them shims back that it had, you should be all right or not.
Check it though.
You gotta allow for
You gotta
wear.
check it, because that O-ring has now shrunk.
You
And
can
they-
do the upper one with a magnetic base by using it in
Yeah.
there somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, now the upper one, once all that is set up, this upper one right here, you know what? Let's pull the cam off. You don't mind, do you?
No, not at all. Yes, I'm
It
on.
wipes out instantly.
Really?
Yeah. So So when you look in the manual, there's a picture, and you can quite clearly see 2 dots.
Sometimes
Well,
you can't, though.
well, I was just gonna say, when you take one of these apart and you take a cam that looks like this, I dare someone. Did you drop that downside the motor?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. All right. It's gonna run a little bit better. Tear down. I challenge you, unless you hot dip tank one of these, to find these dots. They are dotted into the gears themselves, and they got to be lined up. And after 70 years of sludge and everything else building up in them, they're very hard to see. Now that said, once you do find them, you can mark them very clearly with dabs of whatever you want to use.
Just get yourself a
I'd do it if I can see them. I'll
If
do
you
that.
can
A
see
yellow
them.
paint
Sometimes
pen.
Yellow
you
paint
can't see.
pen,
Yeah.
yeah, any of that. So, but they're hard to find.
Yeah. I swear some of them, I don't even think they.
because their valves are up too high, and they moved the whole cam up so they could get more adjustment out of it.
Hold one of those way up so people can see them. So, there you go. There you go. So there are these cut specifically for the top
Yeah.
of the valve deck here. So in other words, this thing's been run hard.
Yeah, been run hard, put away wet.
Yeah.
All right. The bolt's missing.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
All right.
It's also been taken apart a few times, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the washer's missing too. Right, if the bolt's missing, the washer.
Just, no, there's no washer. It's just a bolt.
Oh, we don't have the little dog leg?
Yeah, the
No.
oil feed's in there though.
Yeah. It's got a taper on the bolt. As you tighten the bolt, it spreads this and makes it tight. Now, you see that hole right there? That's where your timing marks are going to be.
Ah.
And your timing mark on your tower shaft
Should be right there too.
has to be right there too. Right there it is.
Yep.
That little tiny spot.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to come see this and see how small,
Piece of mechanics wire and a little hook. You can go right down that valley and you can feel it fall into the oil hole. And you know you have the right spot.
The bolt that was missing threads right into that?
Yeah.
yes.
And when you tighten it up, it's got a taper on it and it pushes that apart and that seizes this.
Everybody
Where's
get
the
in?
hole?
Come on,
Over
everybody get
there?
in. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, let me
Timing
get out
mark
of
will
the
be
way.
right in line with that.
You're all right. You're all right.
Yeah.
See, somebody's got it painted.
Oh yeah, see, there it is. Somebody's already said,
And
let's
it'll-
make
right
this
here's
easier.
your mark right here. See it?
Yep.
Let me clean it. There.
Someone has
See
already
the
done
see the
some-
little mark right there?
Yep.
All right, tip
yeah.
it this way.
Tony, you gonna
Right
Oh,
there.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
There's
a
your timing
freaking
mark.
little dimple.
You see it.
That's
you'll
all
know
it is.
exactly where it is
Real
when
tiny
you
little
see it.
dot right there.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be on a high spot.
And it has to.
And it's always going to line up with the hole.
It's gonna have to be in, when you put it back. It has to be in between, right? The others
Yep.
on top.
Yep.
So
And like I said, if you can't see the mark on here, take a little piece of mechanics wire, bend a little tiny hook on it, and go down in the valley. And if you can, it'll hook into that oil hole. Once you find that oil hole in this tower
That's the
shaft,
oil hole on the gear tip.
that's going to line up to the oil hole in the gear, and that's your
okay.
timing mark.
Okay. All right, you learn something new every day.
Now, sure. That's how you remove your valves.
Come on in. Now, where'd my valve
You
go?
can't put them back in that
Valve
way.
fell
Did I
out.
valve? Well, okay.
Do that again, Barry.
Now.
Do it again?
Yeah,
Oh, we'll do it again.
Because I use that tool, I think it's a pain in the ass.
it is.
Plus the valve.
The valve seal.
I'm done with those.
It's in there. You know what? This one doesn't have valve seals in it.
That's fine.
Somebody didn't put any in.
Why the intake is so oily.
But that's where it goes. It goes right over that, over your valve guide.
Yeah.
Oh, right on that.
That must be a very early block.
Yep, air pressure inside here
Push the valve up.
to hold the valves up so they don't fall down inside the motor.
But there's a little.
That valve's inside the piston now.
Yeah, isn't there a little tool? There's a little tool. Yeah, you screw it.
Screw it in and hook your air hose to it.
You want me to do it
You can take his
again,
spark
Barry?
plug. Well,
No, I don't know, just something that fits over the washer and the valve, right? Come on.
Cable bounce.
You know what, I should put a bigger.
Oh yeah, small engine tools. Perfect.
Oh, they're hooking.
Yeah.
This is 9/16.
Keep your fingers over there.
Out.
There.
You were planning on junking this engine, right?
This goes in a car I brought here. So I hope he puts it back.
Bring hops them up. Yeah, it's better than that damn tool.
Yeah, to put them together, you gotta use the tool.
Yeah, no, I
It's a rebuild.
Butch made it.
Go ahead, make
Butch
any
made them
mistakes
to
you
a
want.
point.
Come on, Don, come over here. Come on,
Yeah,
get in
Barry,
there.
be careful, you'll bruise your arm.
Okay, so anyway, if you wanna check if your tower shaft gear is set up correctly, okay, and you, come on, I gotta get it on here. There we go.
There we go.
The proper way to do it is the bolt is loose here. Take a 4/1000 feeler gauge, put it underneath here. Okay? Then with a screwdriver, you snug the bolt up. Get the screwdriver underneath that bolt and it's gonna pull up on the tower shaft and push down on the gear and set your 4/1000 and then finish tightening it.
And this is in the manual, is it not?
It's all in the manual.
Yeah, there's pictures of that exact operation in the manual.
Oh, you mean after
And people, no, it's all pictures. Yeah,
There's a lot of people who just stick these on and, you know, tighten it up and, well, Dale's working on one down there right now, right? The guy never tightened the bolt. This whole tower gear is going up and down like this.
So there's pictures of that as well as pictures of moving the shim for the cam back and forth.
Now you want to set, let's just stick a couple of these on here.
Yeah,
Now
I
you
would put
want
them
to
in
set
order.
the clearance on this, okay?
And because you took all the shim.
And if you got 4/1000s, you're good.
Okay, that's, it's got the little lock right there that goes
Yep.
through the hole, okay.
It goes in the slot.
Yeah. Another reason you gotta put the right block on the front.
But I think I got a 5-gallon bucket of those shims.
Yeah, you know what those
There's
shims
a
are?
brass
First,
one.
I never, when I was first taking these apart, it didn't dawn on me that those shims are different thicknesses.
Nah, I didn't know that.
And I just would toss them in the bucket, right? In the,
Yeah.
in the coffee can with the, you know.
That's
the
why
other-
you need a,
And then it dawned on me,
that's why you need a
Look,
micrometer.
look how thick that one is.
Yeah.
Look how thin that one is.
Look at that, yeah.
Here's a brass one that's thin.
Yeah.
How many would you allow on that, Barry? How many would you stack?
One.
Just one.
Just
Till you
one.
find
It's
the
gotta
right
be
one.
correct the first
Yep.
time.
Is there any tolerance on the 4,000s? Like, there needs to be 4,000?
It needs to be 4
Okay.
because it'll
Point-
chew those gears up.
It's
go
called
to buy
4.
one, the guy-
0.004.
What?
If you can find it. If you can find a sock. If you can find a 10 millimeter, it's elusive.
That's what I do.
Oh, I
That
see,
keep me
yeah. Is that
smoking after
neoprene in
going
those,
up the hill at the hill.
Barry?
Yeah.
Is that like a little neoprene ring in
Yeah.
there?
What they had, this is what they used to have in there. Thought I had one. Thought I had an original left, but they just had, is there one? Yep, here's one. This is what the original was. You just had an O-ring, you pushed over the valve,
Yep, that's what I remember.
and this is the cap.
Little keeper.
Okay.
And then I just use a brass valve guide to push the cap on.
I remember those. That's what I did years ago.
Yep, but they, there's the shims
There we
for the
are.
cam.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
You've got different thicknesses and they're gonna go down in here. Let me just get the,
So all your measuring's the in play.
yep, let me find the right one right here. And the thick one right there. Okay, this goes in here like this. And that little ear right here,
Clip in,
oh, I got
yeah.
too thick of one.
Now there was one missing on that motor, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
never in there.
It was gone, yeah. So you'll see them and they'll be gone.
I'll shoot up and find it.
Yeah, they'll be literally missing. So
So that's what holds that shim in place, goes through, there's a hole in the shim for that ear. Now, you want to measure 4 thousandths between the shim and the back of the gear. And if it's too loose, you got to take the shim out, measure it, what you have for a shim now, and go find another shim that's thicker.
And you could do that with magnetic.
Garbage.
Well, that's.
Take it to the scrap barn. It's just going to blow oil like crazy. Because that little breather they have on the top here is not big enough for this
No.
engine to breathe.
You can't get enough up there.
Nope.
What we ended up doing on Jackson's, it didn't have, on the hot shot, it didn't have that.
Yep.
I made a breather went in the pan,
Oh, yeah.
put a baffle on the inside to keep the oil from coming in, and just like a blow-by tube on
Yep.
an old car.
Oh, yeah. Flapper window, keep the oil.
We'll just keep oil from getting slung in there, but it was just like a blow-by tube.
Say that again for the video. If you don't have the oil breather tube on the side.
I
Take
made
it to the scrap yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's no oil fill tube here.
That was on
It
the
will
Kinlock.
not breathe. I mean, you will have one hell of an oil leaker, front
Well,
and back rear
we
seal.
We were blowing so much oil out of that top, it was
Yep.
all over the engine.
Yep.
yeah, we have actually a tin block here at the show. It's in Richard Shaw's.
Yeah, and they just have that little breather
It
tube
has a
down the
tiny,
back.
Tiny, tiny little breather tube, and you'll see when he runs it along, you'll see the underside of his hood. You'll have to wipe it down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yep.
But yeah, to recap, this motor was rebuilt. So this is why it's got a green block. It has straight cut gears. The base would have been green. You can kind of see it's green. And it has a very low serial number. It's like 2000 something.
Yep.
So
2225.
there you go. Yeah. So that's why all this stuff is messed up.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
they
even
were-
know-
they
I don't
were
even
still
know what
learning.
appearance in piston tube.
Thank you, Barry. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Learned a lot.